Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I'm your host Daniel Short. Today is Friday, September 25th, 2015, and we got another great show for you guys. I'm excited about this show. I think things are on the up and up, and I got some really good news, and that is my computer is finally back. My desktop, it's back. It's been a pain. I completely forgot about once you get let me just tell you what happened real quick before we get on with the show. I got it back. Really excited, really pumped. Plug everything in, get everything set up. Got it done. Took me less than an hour. Broke my record of getting everything set up. I was excited. Turned on my computer. I have a login thing. I got to log in, put my password in, and on we go. So apparently, Windows said, nah, we're just not going to have it today. You're not going to be able to log in. I tried every single password I've ever used in my entire life. I even changed my password. It still wouldn't work, even though it worked on my laptop, knowing that I changed it. And so I called them up. They said, it's an accounting issue. Go talk to accounting. Then they said it's a technical issue. Go talk to technical. It was ridiculous. Windows was absolutely terrible for me yesterday. And then what else happened? So yeah, I had to reset it. Asus or somebody, I forgot who I talked to. Somebody told me it would take 30 minutes to reset back to factory settings on my computer. That's how long it would take. I was like, okay, that's not bad. I got all day. I'm off. That's fine. Nope. It took me from 11-ish a.m. to about 3 o'clock. 4 hours for it to reset to back to factory settings. Thankfully I already had everything backed up onto an external hard drive, so I was able to move most of the stuff back. And then you got to put all your passwords back in. You got to put all your favorites back in. It was crazy yesterday. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be, but that's okay. But now we are back. I am excited. I'm super excited that we got this show going. And I'm excited for what we're going to be able to do with the show. I'm going to be working on it right after. Well, obviously, this is live here on Spreaker and iHeartRadio. And YouTube, y'all get the special treatment. Not only y'all get the raw, uncut footage, y'all get special videos, y'all get sound effects. YouTube, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go subscribe right now. The link is down below in the description. Just click on it, or if you can't click on it, just go to YouTube, type in The Short Sports Show. You'll find my channel, and go ahead and subscribe. There's going to be a ton more videos come on the way. It's going to be exciting. I have my computer back, so I'm able to do more stuff with video editing and all that other good stuff. But let's get on with this show, shall we? Is there any other news, personal life, anything to discuss? No. I don't think so. I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, so let's go ahead and go on with the show. We got some news out of Ohio State, some quarterback controversy. Despite some rocky performances over the last 2 games, head coach Urban Meyer will stick with Cardale Jones as his first-team option for the number 1 quarterback for the Buckeyes heading into Saturday's matchup with Western Michigan. And don't you put your nose past Western Michigan. They had something special against Michigan State. They had something special. Just couldn't close it out. This game, if Northern Iowa or Northern Illinois, whatever the school was, kept it close with Ohio State, best believe Western Michigan is will have a little bit more magic with them. And I'm just hoping for an upset. I mean, I don't understand. You had Ohio State trying to lose the game last week against Northern Illinois. They did everything in their power to get that ugly victory or ugly loss out the way, so that way they can go on the streak and be, the best team in the country like they did last year. And then you had Northern Illinois. I don't know why I keep saying Northern Iowa. Northern Illinois basically saying we can't win this game because if we do, we'll never, ever play a big team again because no one's ever going to pay us to beat them. So I mean that's only the realistic options to think about here, and to reasons why Ohio State won the game, because Ohio State did everything in their power to lose and still won, and Northern Illinois did everything in its power to make sure they didn't win. But Urban Meyer said this, said, quote, "Cardale is going to start. The other guy has to pass him, and that hasn't happened," end quote. Jones has started all 3 games for Ohio State, but Barrett came on in relief as JT Barrett in an opener at Virginia Tech and replaced the starter for a stretch in week 2 against Hawaii, and played the entire second half in relief against Northern Illinois after coming off the bench in the second quarter. Meyer acknowledged after the sloppy win over the Huskies that it might be time to commit more fully to one guy instead of playing both of his award-winning options. But he still left the door open for JT Barrett if Jones has issues protecting the ball after he threw 2 interceptions last week. Again, this is what Urban Meyer had to say, saying, quote, "He is the guy unless he doesn't perform well, but it's not him causing scoring problems. It's the offense in a funk," end quote. So Cardale Jones still the starting quarterback, even though after the terrible game he had last week, he tweeted out saying where he changed his profile on Twitter that said Ohio State's third quarterback, and then I forgot what he put after that. Basically acknowledging that he had a really, really crappy game, and JT Barrett hasn't really done the best. But we talked about this. I think we talked about it on Monday, or it wasn't that long ago. Maybe it was last Friday. Just stick to one quarterback. Stick to one quarterback. Your receivers, and it is the whole offense in a funk. You can't just blame Cardale Jones. You can't just blame JT Barrett. It's because running that dual quarterback system, offensive line has different, things and different. I'm trying to think of the word. It's just a different feel when you got another quarterback in there. So you just got to just commit Cardale Jones. Go until he can't go no more, and then JT Barrett comes in and steps up. But the thing that sucks for Ohio State is that since you decided to go with dual quarterback offense, you cannot redshirt any of these guys now. JT Barrett can't redshirt, which I think he already had a redshirt, or maybe both of them already redshirt. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong either way. But now, they're both kind of wasting eligibility. But I think that's right. I think they both already used a red shirt. So, it doesn't matter. Let's see. Moving on, the University of Texas Regents have approved a financial settlement with former athletic director Steve Patterson. Details were not released pending final acceptance from Patterson, but ESPN's Brett McMurphy confirmed Tuesday that the settlement is worth up to $2.8 million, and the final amount will vary depending on what Patterson might earn if he gets another job. Which, really, who would hire him? If you cannot be successful at Texas, where almost anything is a given, that anything's given to you, and you can't win there, why would you win anywhere else? And I'm not just saying wins as in like victories. I'm talking about just overall everything. How could you do so poorly in every sport? Let's see. A source has told McMurphy that Patterson is guaranteed $1.4 million whether or not he gets another job. If Patterson does get a new job, then Texas will be responsible for paying only the difference between the new salary and the second 1.4. So they'll just have to see. But the crazy part about this whole thing about the University of Texas is if they fired him, I don't think they would have to pay him a dime. I might be completely wrong, but I thought I read if Texas fires Steve Patterson, they don't have to pay him anything. But if, he resigns, he quits, or, they come to an agreement like this, then they had to pay him. I don't know. I thought I read somewhere where Texas did not have to pay him at all if they fired him. I have to check that up. Probably should have before the show, but I don't know. Steve Patterson, I can't see him. I can't see him getting another job because some small school is going to be like, oh, You were the athletic director at Texas. Sure, come over here, help our struggling program. I don't know. I would not hire Steve Patterson. I would not hire anybody that was other than a Charlie Strong. I would not hire anybody who has anything to do with Texas over the past 5 to 8 years. If you have anything, I don't care if you were a ticket salesperson, I am not hiring you if you have anything to do with the University of Texas within the past 5 to 8 years. I don't want you. It's a curse. I don't know. It's just bad. It's just very bad. Florida State running back Mario Pender is expected to be released from a hospital yesterday, after suffering a collapsed lung in Tuesday's practice. Seminoles head coach Jimbo Fisher said Pender, a backup running back for number 10 Florida State, suffered what Fisher described as a, quote, freak injury, unquote, when he lightly bumped into another player during practice. WarChant.com was the first to report the news and reported Pender continued practicing but was taken to the hospital after difficulty breathing. The Seminoles are on a bye week this week, which is good, but not good enough because Pender is likely to miss the October 3rd game against Wake Forest. And then Florida State hosts rival Miami on October 10th, which begins a tough 6-game stretch. Ladies and gentlemen, this is number 10 Florida State's schedule from now on. Again, it's October 3rd against Wake Forest. Then you got Miami. Then you have Clemson, Georgia Tech, Louisville, and NC State. Obviously, Clemson, Deshaun Watson. What else do you have to say? That offense is rolling. A very good team. Defense is there as well. Georgia Tech, other than the game against Notre Dame, their offense was rolling. Now, it's still going to be close. I think the Florida State-Georgia Tech game is still going to be close. And then you got Louisville, who is, it's like, how are you bad? That's the question with them. I mean, they're not bad, but it's like, how are you losing? And then you got NC State, which is always a tough game. It seems like they just struggle against the weak teams, and as soon as they play top teams, they bring their A game. So you got a really tough stretch. Obviously, they're going to beat Wake Forest. Sorry, Demons. They're going to beat Wake Forest. Miami, that's going to be a tough game. Obviously, I'm rooting for the U, always, forever. And then you got Clemson, Georgia Tech. I don't know how they're going to get through that. I see them losing probably for sure 2 games, maybe 3, and at worst 4. We'll just have to see, and we'll talk about those games each week they happen. That's a good thing about the show, right? Always. Starting running back Dalvin Cook also suffered a minor chest injury last week against Boston College, but Fisher said earlier this week Cook has not suffered any setbacks, and he is also practicing in a non-contact jersey. There was no talk about whether he will be good to go, and but I'm assuming he should be good to go. As you know, everybody talks about Leonard Fournette, and man, I just had him in my name. There's another top running back, but no one's really talking about Dalvin Cook. He's on fire. I know Florida State hasn't played a lot of tough teams. I know LSU's already played Mississippi State. They played Auburn. Not the greatest of defenses, but a lot better than Texas State and South Florida, whatever. Not better defenses than those. But still, Dalvin Cook, he's doing some work. He's putting a lot of work in, and I think he needs to be recognized. Bad news for Cincinnati last night, but an amazing game. I don't know if you guys saw. I wasn't able to watch it. I was watching the NFL game, but I'm definitely going to go back and watch this game because everybody's talking about Memphis having a high-powered offense, and they truly do. And this game was just a freaking great game, a great Thursday game. Just an absolutely amazing Thursday game. But bad news for Cincinnati as their quarterback Gunnar Kiel was injured on a high hit in the first quarter of the Bearcats' 53-46 loss to Memphis last night. Kiel turned upfield on a run on a third down play and was hit from the side by defensive back Chauncey Lehner. Kiel's neck and head were immobilized, and he was taken off the field on a cart. He was seen talking to medical personnel and was later taken to the Methodist University Hospital, where he was released a short time later. Bearcats Sports Information Director Ryan Colsland later said Kiel accompanied the team back to Cincinnati. So he was able to fly back to Cincinnati. But Bearcats head coach Tommy Tuberville, which I completely, like, you know he's there. It's just you forget that he's there at the same time because of, what he used to run back in Texas Tech, because they forced him to run, that air raid, and then he wanted to run his own type of pro-style offense, but a little bit more throwing. Completely forgot he was at Cincinnati again. Told the Cincinnati Enquirer after the game that Keel hurt his neck, saying, quote, "He had a little numbness in his hands. I've had bad necks. I know what that's about. It's hard to overcome. We'll go with Hayden Moore, which is the backup quarterback, right now, and let Gunnar refuel." But, hey, Hayden Moore, a freshman quarterback, stepped in last night and not only exceeded all expectations from the general audience and possibly from Cincinnati's audience, but he passed for a school record of 557 yards through 4 touchdown losses, also had 2 interceptions. But I mean, that's not bad. When you have to step in there and to a Memphis team that is a pretty good team, and you go in there and just break a school record. That's not bad, and a good school record. It's not like he threw like 4 interceptions or something. That's not bad. So Hayden Moore in Cincinnati, even though you're 2-2 right now and you're 0-2 in conference, don't panic. There's no panicking in Cincinnati right now. I wouldn't. Knowing that you now have a future quarterback that can just throw it out there. Now, Memphis isn't the greatest defense. I know that. But I'm just saying, step in like that and have a whole lot of poise. That's a sign right there of his character and the type of quarterback he's going to be down the line. I mean, just imagine when he's a junior and possibly a senior. If he keeps it up like this, stays out of trouble, Cincinnati's going to be a good team in the next couple of years with that quarterback. Bad news for Wisconsin, as the running back Corey Clement will have surgery to repair a sports hernia and is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Clement played sparingly in the season opener against Alabama, rushing for eight times for 16 yards. He had missed the team's past 2 games against Miami of Ohio and Troy. Now, last year, Clement rushed for 949 yards and 9 touchdowns a year ago in a backup role to Heisman Trophy finalist Melvin Gordon, and was expected to be among the nation's top running backs this season. A lot of people had a hype for Clement, and rightfully so. I mean, look at all the running backs that have come out of Clemson the past few years, and every single year. Coaches had hoped he would be ready for the Big Ten opener against Iowa October 3rd. Instead, it appears he may not return until November. So, bad news for Wisconsin and trying to get Corey Clement back. And I feel bad. I was reading what coaches were saying about him and what type of player he is on and off the field. What type of person he is on and off the field. And it sucks. I mean, he's put a whole lot of work in, knowing this was going to be possibly a big year for him to prove to NFL scouts and prove to Wisconsin fans that he can step up and take the that spot, and injuries and stuff like that have taken over. But you never know. Maybe this is a sign for Corey. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe he was going to be a high pick in a draft and maybe wouldn't fit the right system in the NFL for a specific team. Maybe now it's going to drop him a little bit where he's a late round pick or doesn't get drafted, signs with the team, and next thing you know, he fulfills his potential. You never know. You got to look at the positive, guys. Got to look at the positives. Baylor, again, is in trouble, but just listen. Baylor has imposed a half-game suspension on assistant coach Jeff Lebby after he violated NCAA rules by attending Oklahoma's game against Tulsa last weekend. Lebby, who is Baylor's passing game coordinator and running back coach, will sit out the first half of the Bears' November 14th game against the Sooners. Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowsey also issued a statement that was on Lebby and what was happening. saying, quote, "The opportunity for Coach Lebby to scout a future opponent by being on a sideline of a conference member's opponent is inconsistent with the principles and expectations of the Big 12 sportsmanship and ethical conduct policy. I appreciate the action of Baylor Athletic Department Director Ian McCall, in addressing this matter and accept university's self-imposed penalty." Lebby was on the Tulsa sideline during the Golden Hurricanes game at Oklahoma on Saturday, a violation of NCAA bylaw 11.6.1, which prohibits the in-house scouting of a future opponent. Lebby, who graduated from Oklahoma, oddly enough, was a student assistant coach under Bob Stoops, and was in Norman for a wedding during Baylor's off week. Tulsa coach Philip Montgomery, who was Baylor's offensive coordinator last season, gave Lebby and his wife passes to the game to stand on Tulsa's sideline. Lebby also is Baylor's head coach Art Briles' son-in-law. A lot of information right here, people. Briles and Montgomery both said they phoned Stoops afterward to apologize, and Briles called the incident embarrassing earlier this week. Lebby is now the third assistant Baylor coach to have been suspended this season. Offensive coordinator Kendall Briles and receivers coach Tate Wallace both sat out Baylor's September 12th game against Lamar for violating recruiting violations. So, for violating violations, really? Violating recruiting rules. And I understand he was he was given passes, but it should be common sense knowing, okay, we're going to play Oklahoma this year. We play them every freaking year. I cannot be on the sidelines, whether I'm wearing Baylor gear or not. I'm going to get spotted by somebody, and bad things can happen. Especially everything that's happened to Baylor this season alone. You should probably stay away from any possible trouble. Baylor people, just not that smart. It's just that simple. Baylor people are not that smart. And the Tulsa coach should also know that, hey, he's with Baylor. I understand he's my friend and whatever, but I shouldn't have him on the sidelines, because of what this could do. I mean, I'm not saying you should know every single rule, but it should just be common sense that, hey, he's a coach of the opposing team that will play this team sometime this season. I should not have him on the sidelines because it's probably bad. That's just Baylor philosophy, guys. So he will be suspended not only for the first half of this upcoming game, but also, or actually, no, it's just the first half of the November 14th game against the Sooners. I thought it was the first half of this upcoming game and also being suspended the entire game against the Sooners. I think it should be the entire game. I think that's how it should be. First half of the upcoming game, whatever it may be, and then suspending them for the full entire game against the Sooners. Because what happens if Baylor's down, their offense can't get going in the first half? I know that's a stretch, but let's say it can't get going, right? And then the second half comes, everybody's going to be talking about, oh, the coach is back because he did this, he was suspended, blah, blah, blah. And what if Baylor gets going and come back and wins the game? It's going to be some talk. There's going to be some talk saying he should have been suspended the whole game. He knew what we were doing. I mean, it's not like you could watch the game anyways on TV and just record and scout it from there. But it's just something to think about. UCLA head coach Jim Moore announced Wednesday that junior all Pac-12 linebacker Miles Jack sadly is done for the season after suffering a significant knee injury. Number 9, UCLA now faces the remainder of the season without 3 of its best defensive players. Now, UCLA, I don't want to hear it. All right, you don't know what TCU's gone through, okay? We've lost 8 freaking defensive players. 8. Now, we may not have an all Pac-12 player like Miles Jack and your other 2 other players that are pretty good. But we've lost 8. You lost 3. Don't be complaining. The Bruins announced Tuesday that all Pac-12 cornerback Fabian Morneau has suffered a season-ending Lisfranc foot injury. Got it right. UCLA, which visits number 16 Arizona on Saturday. College game day is going to be there. Pretty exciting. Previously lost defensive end Eddie Vanderdoss, to a knee injury after season opener against Virginia. Now, Miles Jack, who injured his knee during Tuesday's practice, was the Bruins' third leading tackler, and as a two-way player, he also scored a touchdown as a running back. The 6'1", 245-pound Jack is widely seen as a candidate to enter the NFL draft this spring as a potential first-round selection. Jack is one of the nation's top linebackers, finishing second on the roster last season with 88 tackles while showing off his NFL-ready playmaking specials. So, really bad news. And out of all the players to get hurt, it sucks that it was Miles Jack. I think everybody's a fan of Miles Jack. I don't think there's any way to hate this guy. I think they had a college game day thing for him, or some special ESPN did on him, and just saying, his backstory and who he is and stuff like that. And he's a really, really great person. And it just sucks that this has to happen to him. Man, when I saw that news, it broke my heart. Not even a UCLA fan. I'm not a hater either. I like UCLA. They're cool. But it sucks that it happened to Miles Jack. Out of all the people, I wish it wasn't Miles Jack. The Florida Gators will be without starting cornerback Jalen Tabor and quarterback Trayon Harris for Saturday's game against Tennessee Volunteers. Tabor and Harris, both sophomores, have been suspended for, quote, some choices they made, Coach Jim McElwain told reporters after practice Wednesday. While McElwain didn't disclose the reasons, a source told ESPN's Brett McMurphy, it seems like he's everywhere, that Harris' discipline was for a failed drug test and that Tabor's was for refusing for taking a drug test, which resulted in an automatic suspension. Harris was suspended from the team in October of 2014 because of accusations of sexual battery, but he was later reinstated after the allegations were withdrawn. Tabor was cited for marijuana possession back in May. Tabor has started 2 of Florida's first 3 games this season, returning an interception 39 yards for a touchdown and leading the Gators with 5 passes defended. He also had 7 tackles, including 1 for loss. Tabor was named the SEC All-American team, or All-Freshman team, excuse me, I'm screwing up words today, in 2014. And he also tweeted after this happened that he was suspended. He said, UF, as in University of Florida, athletic department sucks. It looks like you're the one that sucks. You knew that you had to take a drug test, and you were stupid enough to do drugs, and now you got caught. Basically, I mean, if you're not going to take the drug test, then it's because you failed. At least Harris went through with it and said, look, it's probably gonna come out positive, but I'm gonna take it anyway. I think Trayon, this just screwed his chance of starting for the Florida Gators. The only way he starts now is if Will Grier, and I'm sorry if Florida fans, get ready to knock on some wood right now, but unless Will Grier, is out for the year with an injury or gets hurt, and Trayon Harris has to step in, that's the only way Harris plays. I think even if Will Grier struggles in some games, he's going to remain the starter. McElwain already wants Will Grier to be the starting quarterback for the Florida Gators. And Trayon, you just screwed your chance. This right here, this is what I would look at for. I would bring this to every high school in the country that has a football team, and every college team. I would tell you right here, this is your perfect storm of a story for any player. Trayon Harris has talent, and was going against some obstacles that the head coach would not start him because he liked Will Grier more, which is plainly obvious. Will Grier might be better, but Trayon brings something different to the table. All Trayon Harris has to do is continue to work, continue to get better, continue to study, and you never know. And just wait for his opportunity. Instead, he took the worst direction possible, and that was to do drugs and got caught. And now his chance of ever starting for the Florida Gators is the same chance I have of winning the lottery in 2.2 seconds. This is a way to screw up your career and your future. Right here, perfect story. I would pass this on to every high school, to every college, to every junior college, whatever. That's how how to screw up your career and your future. Bam, right there. That's your story. And also this story. UCF junior running back William Stanback, an all AAC selection last season, has been dismissed for continuous failure to comply with athletic policy and team rules, head coach George O'Leary said Tuesday. UCF did not cite a specific violation, but a source told ESPN's Joe Schad that Stanback has failed multiple marijuana tests. Stanback told ESPN that coaches said that he had, quote, a bad attitude after returning from injury, and he had appeared in just 2 of the night's 3 games this season, rushing for 12 times for 11 yards. Now, for people that don't remember or don't really know who William Stanback is, if you look at majority of the football vines, mainly from last season, he was the running back that wore number 28, and I believe it was against Rutgers, where he caught a swing pass, or he was rushing. I don't really remember. But anyway, it was one of those. He's running towards the sideline, and he lowers his shoulder, and boom, he just knocks some dude right over. If you look at the vines, if you just type in football vines, college football vines, I guarantee you it's one of them is in there. It's the most repeated one ever. And, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, he straight up knocked him down. Or if you guys saw last night's game, Andre Williams for the Giants, who just knocked over some Redskins defender, just boom, just powered through him. Ooh, that was so clean. It was basically that, and he was pretty good. And as last year, he earned all-conference honors after rushing for 697 yards and 10 touchdowns on 189 carries. He also rushed for 443 yards and 6 more touchdowns as a freshman in 2013. But Stanback told ESPN he's likely to transfer and will sit out next season and play as a redshirt senior. He has also been prohibited by UCF from transferring to FIU, FAU, Georgia Tech, Michigan, Maryland, Stanford, BYU, and Texas, mainly because those are the teams that UCF will play. And I don't know about FIU and FAU. It may be because they're just other Florida schools, or it might be because, you know, they are playing on UCF. They're on the schedule. I don't know. But either way, he can't transfer to those schools, but hopefully he gets his act together. I mean, God, it's so upsetting to see players with all this potential and you blow it away because of drugs. I mean, God, that's so frustrating. I mean, there's so many people that would switch to have your life and be a star player, or just a college football player, and you rather do drugs than make yourself better and possibly step up your game where you could go to the pros. I mean, it's unbelievable. To me, it's common sense. It's ridiculous. Auburn will be without top pass rusher and defensive leader Carl Lawson for longer than expected. The defensive end injured his hip in the Week 1 win over Louisville, and head coach Gus Malzahn said Tuesday that Lawson will be out for, quote, an extended period of time. Lawson missed all of last season with a torn ACL, but was healthy for this season before suffering the hip injury. Malzahn did not say when Lawson would be back, but added that the Tigers hope he could return before the season ends. So another bad. I mean, your defense is already bad, and then when you have your top player out, it just makes it just a lot worse for Auburn. Last couple news before we go to our picks and move on to the NFL. We have All-American linebacker Scooby Wright, who had surgery after suffering a torn meniscus in number 16 Arizona's season opener, will try practicing this week as the team prepares for Saturday's showdown against number 9 UCLA. Wright had surgery after injuring his left knee in the first quarter of Arizona's opener against UTSA and was originally expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks, but planned to try practicing this week to see if he could play Saturday. I'm struggling here today, boys. Arizona head coach Rich Rodriguez said Wright would be limited Tuesday and Wednesday, and that that team would have a better sit on his status Thursday and Friday. And finally, Stanford quarterback Kevin Hogan suffered a, quote, significant ankle sprain in Saturday's 41-31 win over USC and is in jeopardy of missing the Cardinals game at Oregon State on Friday, head coach David Shaw said Monday. With Hogan's status in doubt, redshirt sophomore Ryan Burns and redshirt freshman Keller Christ, not Christ, will share reps throughout this week and, quote, some combination of the two would play if needed, Shaw said. He will not provide any specifics in regards to how the reps would be split up and said he's willing to wait until game time before deciding on the starter. So we'll just have to see. But Stanford can't have a letdown against Oregon State, which Oregon State playing at Oregon State is always tough, and Oregon State doesn't have much to lose, but Stanford now does with its 2-1 record, but a huge win over USC. I don't think a lot of people picked Stanford with no offense to beat USC, but they did. So huge game for Stanford. And let us go on with our picks. Here we go. Like I said Monday, I'm 0-2 in my picks against my dad. My dad is somehow beating me, but I think this week I have him because I disagree with a lot of his picks. Here we go. You can play along. I'm going to go through all the games. You make your picks. It's a top 25, so it's everybody in the top 25. Make your picks. Screenshot it. Put it on Twitter. Use the hashtag #TheShortSportsShow and tag me in it. And the winner of this at the end of the season wins something special. Here we go. Stanford at Oregon State, the game we were just talking about. I'm going with the upset, Oregon State. I think Oregon State gets it. I think I keep saying USC. I think Stanford is too much on it and a little too happy over the victory against USC. I think Oregon State puts it back in reality. BYU at Michigan. I'm going to go Michigan here. I think I know BYU is a tough team, and Michigan is struggling right now against good teams. But I think this is a good way for Michigan to get started. It's at the Blue House, the big house, and I think Michigan gets it there. Central Michigan at Michigan State. Going with Michigan State. LSU at Syracuse. I want to go for the Orangemen so very badly. I wish Syracuse was good like they were back in the day, back before I was even alive. I wish they were good, but they're not. Going with LSU. Georgia Tech at Duke. Going with Georgia Tech. My dad put Southern at Georgia. I don't know if that's Georgia Southern. I don't know if that's Texas Southern. Maybe it's just Southern University. I don't know. I'm going with Georgia either way. Going with the Bulldogs. Rice at Baylor. It kills me. I want Baylor to win this game. But did I say Baylor? I want Rice to win this game. I think I said Baylor. Oh, God. I hope I didn't say that. I want Baylor to lose, and I want Rice to win this game. Hopefully, Dyfus Jackson could get it done. But if not, Baylor's got this. Going with Baylor here. Oklahoma State at Texas. I'm going with the Texas Longhorns. Gerard Hurd is finally their quarterback. I think they found the solution, found the offense. Now Texas fans, don't get too excited. Cal's defense is not that good. It's not. So scoring 44 on them and what should have been 45 and possibly more had it gone overtime is not like, oh, we found our offense. It's clicking. We're back to being great again. No. You haven't played a tough defense other than Notre Dame. And that was a huge – I mean, you only scored 3, so don't get all excited. But I think Texas will get this. I think there's a lot of motivation now. And Oklahoma State, has really been struggling. They played UTSA and dominated them. Might have found their offense as well, but again, UTSA, not the greatest of teams. I'm going with Texas here. Western Michigan at Ohio State. I'm rooting for Western Michigan so very badly, but Ohio State will get it. UMass at Notre Dame, going with Notre Dame. Louisiana Monroe at Alabama, going with Bama. TCU at Texas Tech. Of course, I'm going with my TCU Horned Frogs. Of course. Come on, Frogs. Please. Texas A&M at Arkansas. Going to go with A&M here. I think their defense is just too stout right now. Offense is going to get clicking. Christian Kirk, so close to going to TCU, but went to A&M and is dominating over there. Then you got Vanderbilt at Ole Miss, going with Ole Miss. Poor Vandy. Missouri at Kentucky. I'm going with Kentucky. I think it'd be Kentucky's game to lose here. I mean, Missouri is not good, and Kentucky's going to get this W. You got UCLA at Arizona. I'm going UCLA. I know they lost Miles Jack, but I just like UCLA too much. I think they got the talent. Hawaii at Wisconsin, going with Wisconsin. Ball State at Northwestern, going with Northwestern. Utah at Oregon, going with the Oregon Ducks. Their defense better settle down over there, or this might be a closer game than it should be. And then finally, USC at Arizona State. This is tough. This is very tough because USC couldn't handle Stanford, who, instead of previously last week, had no offense. And now you got Arizona State team on the road at Arizona State. I'm going to go USC here, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Arizona State get the W. But, again, those are the picks. Go ahead, tweet me at @short_sports247. Link is down below. Now let's move on to the NFL, which we don't have a ton of news. So the show we probably got about 20 more minutes at the very most. There is a chance Philadelphia Eagles running back DeMarco Murray could play Sunday against the New York Jets. Head coach Chip Kelly said Thursday. Murray left practice on Wednesday with a hamstring injury and underwent an MRI. Murray did not practice Thursday, but Kelly said he would be evaluated after Friday and Saturday's practices. If Murray can't play, then Ryan Matthews would likely be the Eagles starter, and that was the plan in the offseason when Kelly signed both running backs as free agents. Kelly also ruled out inside linebacker Kirko Alonso. And I keep saying Kirko, not Kirko Bangs. It is Kiko. I don't know why I can't hit it. Kiko Alonso, who sprained his left knee in Sunday's loss against the Dallas Cowboys. And as of Tuesday, Kelly said there was a chance Alonso could play, but he hasn't practiced all week. Michael Kendricks, who injured his hamstring as well, could play Sunday. If he's unable to, then rookie Jordan Hicks would likely start alongside veteran inside linebacker DeMeco Ryans. And here's the story that I didn't want to talk about, but at the same time I want to talk about because it's so ridiculous. It's crazy. Stay with me now. Michael Sam from Missouri, who went to the CFL, didn't make it, and now is saying he's now refocused and plans on trying to make an NFL roster in 2016. Really? Of course, Sam began the season with the CFL's Montreal Alouettes before leaving the team because of what he said was a tumultuous past year, to the point he was worried about his own mental health. He has since been at the University of Missouri, where he's been working on his master's degree. And Sam told ABC 17 in Missouri, saying, quote, "I'll try to pursue my NFL career. Taking a break this year was very smart. I think it was one of the smartest things I've done in a long time. Right now, I'm just focusing on me and what my needs are. It's been a roller coaster. I've been trying to figure out what's next in my life." Michael Sam. Let me talk to you for a second here, buddy. You didn't make the Rams, first, before I go on with this, I want people to know I am a fan. Well, I was a fan of Michael Sam. Out of Missouri, when you're all SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and you have great stats, and I really thought Michael Sam was going to be drafted higher. I have no idea if it was because of him coming out he was gay. I don't think that should make a difference what round he should have been drafted in. And then when he was drafted by the St. Louis Rams, I was thinking that was perfect. You're going to be learning against some of the great defensive players in the game right now because the Rams have one of the best defenses in the – well, I guess after losing the Redskins, can't really say that. But the defensive line is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL right now. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. You're going to learn alongside them. You're going to get better. And I really thought he would make the roster. Then he didn't. He got cut, went to the Cowboys. I was like, okay, that should be a good spot then. I mean, you should make the Cowboys. They need some defensive help. You should do fine. Still doesn't make it. Goes to the CFL, and we have no idea what happened, why he was not playing. But you were struggling over there. If you struggle with the CFL and you couldn't make 2 rosters in the NFL, what makes you think you're going to come back after missing an entire year and make a roster? I'm sorry, I don't see it. I think it's time to move on, and whatever you're going to do with your career, whatever you're getting your master's degree on, work on that and go from there. I think it's time to move on from the NFL. If Tim Tebow can't make a roster, neither can you. I know it's completely different positions, but I'm sorry, Michael Sam. Your time has passed, and especially you keep quitting on teams or on a team on CFL. You kept going back and forth. No NFL team's going to take that. If you got personal issues, they're going to tell you, especially since you're not a top player, suck it up and either play or goodbye, we don't need you. It's that simple. This is not crying back and forth. Oh, I need this, I need that. I got to go back home. It doesn't matter. This is the NFL. They do not care. They're not going to take what you did in the CFL. I don't think anybody's going to give them a shot unless they lose about 8 defensive players and need somebody. But Michael Sam, wasted your opportunity, buddy. Washington Redskins quarterback D'Angelo Hall injured his right toe on a play early in the third quarter against the Giants on Thursday night, causing him to hobble off the field and get carted to the locker room. He was eventually downgraded to out for the game. Hall received an MRI on Friday on his toe, and head coach Jay Gruden said he's concerned that it might be a long-term issue. Injuries continue to plague Hall, who missed time this camp with a toe injury on the other foot, and he's also missed 15 games last season with Achilles injury. Redskins felt good about their cornerback depth when camp opened, but they cut disappointing second-round pick David Amerson earlier this week, and now D'Angelo Hall goes down. Redskins just having more problems than not. And then after a lackluster performance by Kirk Cousins, Jay Gruden insisted Thursday night that there's no quarterback controversy for the Washington Redskins. Kirk Cousins was 30 for 49 for 316 yards in a 32-21 loss to the New York Giants, but had 2 interceptions. Bad interceptions. Now, one of them wasn't that bad. It was just tipped up and yeah. But Robert Griffin, though, you would think, okay, the controversy is about him being a starter. Nope, not at all. He is listed as the 3rd string quarterback and was a healthy scratch for Thursday's game. Wow. We'll talk about 2. No, you know what? We're gonna drop those stories. They're not even important anyways. We're gonna talk about this real quick. This is what I believe should happen for Robert Griffin and Johnny Manziel. Now, real quick, I'm gonna refer you guys to this. There's a great story on Bleacher Report. It's by Brad Gagnon. I hope I said his name right. I don't know. It's a weird name, Gagnon. He has a great story. This is the title, so if you want to type it in, this is what it's called. Browns making huge mistake, delaying inevitable by starting McCown over Manziel. Again, it's Browns making huge mistake, delaying inevitable by starting McCown over Manziel. If you just type in Johnny Manziel, I'm sure it'll come up as one of the stories. Again, it's by Brad Gagnon. great story about how stupid the Browns are, how stupid Mike Pettin is, and why Johnny Manziel and this what led me to my own story of why Johnny Manziel and Robert Griffin III should now leave. It should be gone from those respective teams, and the Redskins and the Browns. Mike Pettin doesn't want Johnny Manziel as a starter. He does not like him. It's clear. I mean, how do you bench a guy who has won for you, has delivered beautiful passes, 3 touchdown passes over 50-plus yards, and they were on the dime. They were beautiful freaking passes. How do you bench that player? It makes no sense. And why would you go for a guy who hasn't had any success in the NFL other than back in, 2013, 2014 when he was with the Bears and had that stretch of games where Jay Cutler went down? And that was a great Bears team, though. That was more of the Bears than McCown. I think any quarterback could have stepped in and did the exact same thing he did. McCown is a terrible quarterback and shouldn't even be starting for an NFL team. And if you read that story, it says it to the perfect spot. He says everything's spot on, does not leave anything out other than, which might be the stretch, but my point of Johnny Manziel should get out of Cleveland. You know, he loves Cleveland. Cleveland fans love him. But the head coach, Mike Pettin, doesn't. And there's no way Mike Pettin's going to leave. So, because of that, and which Mike Pettin's a good coach, just very stupid when it comes to quarterbacks. Johnny Manziel should ask for a trade and should get out of there because he's about to enter his prime. He has truly made the appropriate steps to become an NFL starting quarterback and has really developed his game top notch. He truly has. He's getting better, and I believe if he's starting next year for a team, he's going to have probably a breakout year. I know it's only week 3 of the NFL, and he has a chance to play, but I don't see it happening unless McCown gets hurt again. I really don't. I think McCown could throw 4 interceptions in a game, and Manziel can go in there, and the game's already lost, and Mike Pettin will blame Johnny Manziel, saying we should have played better. Manziel made some mistakes, and it's just like, did you not watch the game? Did you not just see what McCown was doing? McCown is terrible. Shouldn't even be in the freaking league. Johnny Manziel should be a start. Now, of course, I'm a huge Johnny Manziel fan, so I'm not trying to be biased here, but I think anybody with a brain knows Johnny Football is a better gamble and a better player to start than Josh McCown. If you don't believe that, either you just truly hate Johnny Manziel or you have no football smarts whatsoever. I mean, to think Johnny Manziel shouldn't start over Josh McCown, I love to hear that side of it, but at the same time, I'm going to be laughing because of how ridiculous that is. But back to Robert Griffin's side, he needs to get out of there too. Obviously he's not going to start for the Redskins anymore. And I still believe RG3 has something to give. I believe he's an NFL starting quarterback. I truly do. And I know, I'm not being biased because he's out of Baylor. He beat TCU terribly too. I am hoping Robert Griffin can do some good and get with another team. This is what I think is the best. This is my final point. RG3 gets traded to the Cowboys, which I know won't happen because of, the Redskins and Cowboys being right there. But we've seen Eagle players go to the Redskins players going other places, Giants players going. It's all in the same division anyways. So maybe it could still happen. Bring RG3 back to Texas and bring him to his closer area of Waco, which is Dallas. Johnny Manziel gets traded to the Houston Texans, becomes the Texans starting quarterback. Texans should have got him in the draft anyways. I'm not saying he should have been number 1 overall because they still could. Remember, Johnny dropped all the way to 17th, 18th, 20-something? I don't know. Dropped down in the picks. Texans could have traded back in and picked him up and could have had both Jadeveon Clowney and Johnny Manziel. We talked about it back when that draft happened on my show. And obviously Texas A&M, Houston, College Station in Houston. Not too far, but closer than Dallas and College Station. So RG3 goes to Dallas, sits under Tony Romo until Tony Romo's time is gone, which if he keeps getting injured will be pretty soon. Robert Griffin steps up, starting quarterback for the Cowboys. Everybody will love it. For Manziel, is immediate start. Ryan Mallett and Brian Hoyer both suck. Johnny Manziel goes in there. Texans fans love him. Guaranteed. If those trades happened, one, I better be hired by some freaking NFL media. I better be hired by somebody because of that. Because I've called it here first. And also, those sales, ticket sales and jersey sales, boom, skyrocket. Top 5 for each of those players. Guaranteed. I think that's what should happen. Again, the article for the Johnny Manziel story is Browns making huge mistake delaying inevitable by starting McCown over Manziel by Brad Gagnon. And Robert Griffin, best of luck for you. Finally, let's do our picks. Let's wrap up the show. We are 3.5 minutes to an hour of this show. That's okay. Here we go. And we're doing this against the spread. Doing this against the spread. So here we go. I had picked the Giants, so thankfully I got one victory under my belt. But here we go. We have Atlanta at Dallas. I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons to win this game. I think stupid McCown. Whedon throws a pick at the last few minutes, and Atlanta gets the victory. Indianapolis at Tennessee. I'm picking Indianapolis because of the cover. Oakland at Cleveland. That's the toughest game. If Johnny Manziel was starting, I pick Cleveland. But because he's not and McCown is, Derek Carr to Amari Cooper all day, every day. Oakland will win it. Cincinnati at Baltimore. I don't understand how Cincinnati's the underdog. That makes no sense. Baltimore struggling right now. Cincinnati is on fire. I'm going with Cincinnati. Jacksonville at New England. I'm going with New England. But I'm taking Jacksonville on the spread because I understand Jacksonville's struggling and New England's also on fire. But New England, you're not going to be. I can't see them beating them by 14. 2 touchdowns. I know it's just 2 touchdowns, but I think Jacksonville will keep it close. New Orleans at Carolina. Going with Carolina here. Philadelphia at the Jets. I think Jets steamroll Philadelphia. Tampa Bay at Houston. I'm going with Tampa Bay. 6.5 point underdog, and I'm taking Tampa Bay. San Diego at Minnesota. Gonna go with San Diego here. I think my Chargers can get it done, even though it's on the road. Let's see. Pittsburgh at St. Louis. I'm taking Pittsburgh. San Francisco at Arizona. Going with Arizona. Buffalo at Miami. Gonna go with Buffalo. Chicago at Seattle. Chicago is a 13.5 underdog. I'm taking Chicago on the spread, but I'm picking Seattle to win the game. With Cam Chancellor back, of course. And then Denver at Detroit, going with Denver. And then finally, Monday Night Football game, Kansas City, a 6.5 point underdog at Green Bay. Going with the Green Bay Packers to get it by the spread and the W. And those are my picks. You can, again, screenshot those picks because Twitter, the characters don't work. And use the hashtag The Short Sports Show. Tag me in it at @short_sports 24/7 on Twitter. Again, guys, thank you so much for listening. Whether you're listening on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker.com, YouTube, whatever it may be sure to like it, share with your friends and family. And again, guys, thank you so much for the support. As always, God first, God bless. I will be back Monday morning to recap all these games and any other news. Again, thank you guys. I'm out. Peace.